Hey guys, this is Brad from Dallas Geek with
Ashley Villers. I go by Winter13 online though, so
Okay.
you can find me either.
So, in part of our introduction to the local comic conventions, we wanted to showcase a few of the artists here at Alcon. So, what type of art would you say that you do? How would you describe it?
I'm kind of an artist chameleon is what I like to call myself. I work in a variety of mediums, watercolor, ink. I've done a little digital, and I kind of have a lot of different styles where, but I find a lot of influence in like American traditional tattoo art and maybe Art Nouveau a little bit. So it's hard to describe in one word.
Sure. So, how did you get into this type of art? I guess you could say like the very nerd and pop culture inspired art.
I've always been interested in movies, television shows. I grew up just in front of the TV. It sounds kind of sad to say, but I really did.
Wow.
I grew up in front of a television.
I mean, who didn't now?
Right. And I've always had an interest in art, so it just kind of lent itself to it. I remember being really young and drawing like Disney princesses and like the things that I was watching on TV. And before I moved down to Dallas, I moved down here about 2.5 years ago, I taught art full time. So my art that I was making and selling was a side hobby. And then when I moved down here, I didn't have a job lined up. So that's how I got into doing this full time.
Okay. So, obviously you have quite a few different types of images here, quite a few different characters. Has there been one specific one that has been your favorite to do, or a specific of the different styles that you've done that has been your favorite to work on? Because I see you have the Dia de los Muertos stuff. You have some what looks like kind of horror movie octopus kind of stuff going.
I think my first kind of passion project I did was the Star Wars playing cards.
Okay.
I did 21 watercolor paintings that went into the deck. Each face card was a different character.
Okay.
And I was working on that actually while I was teaching full time. So it took me 2.5 years to get them all done.
Oh, wow.
And then I worked with a playing card company, and they actually printed my art as a playable deck. And I did a very limited edition run of them just as a way to like show off this passion project I had.
Sure.
So that was probably what got me into the idea of actually making art and like merchandising it in a way, like just on
Sure.
a small scale for these kinds of events.
Okay. So, outside of these conventions, where else could our viewers find your work?
Well, I am a part-time creative streamer on Twitch. I work live 3 or 4 days a week for a few hours at a time, so you can literally like drop into my studio, watch me work live, ask questions as I work.
Okay.
And I'm also on Etsy, so I sell everything that's here at these conventions, also available as online.
Awesome. So, everything that you bring to these conventions is also available online. Do you have any other stuff that you don't usually bring to conventions but is also available online within this genre of work?
I try to keep my shop and what I bring to conventions pretty similar and like up to date. Sometimes I get a little bit behind on my online stuff because I always like the one-on-one personal connections. Like I do take commissions on those like while I'm sitting here, and sometimes I get them done at the convention, sometimes I have to take them home. I'm a slow worker. I pay a lot of attention to details and kind of nitpicky about it, but I think that everything that's here is also available online.
Okay. So one last thing that really intrigued me that you just mentioned, you said that you live stream on Twitch from your studio when you're making a lot of this stuff.
Yes.
What inspired you to try that?
I was a Twitch viewer for a very long time watching, I was really into Destiny at the time. I was watching a lot of Destiny streams, and this was about 2.5 years ago. The creative scene was just starting to like come around, and it wasn't actually a community yet. And I saw a glass blower and a sculptor that I enjoyed watching the stuff I couldn't do. I don't work three-dimensionally, so I spent a lot of times while I was in my studio drawing, just having them on in the background, and kind of listening and becoming part of the community. And I thought, I'm just sitting here watching them. Why don't I start streaming this as well? So I joke that I beat Bob Ross to Twitch Creative. I started streaming the week before they had Bob Ross marathons on there.
Very nice.
And I ended up getting partnered the following summer. So Twitch has been a huge part of my life for the last 2.5 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, it has been fantastic talking.
Thank
we
you
will
for
definitely make sure to put the links out for all of your work so that any viewers at home can take a deeper look into what you have. And love your stuff. So it is just so cool.
I appreciate that. Thanks for having me.
So once again, this is Brad from Dallas Geek saying, see ya.